I feel like, for two reasons, in the coming days, weeks, months, probably years, for this episode, these Feel Good Friday episodes, we are very likely going to be covering a lot more AI for two reasons. A, because it's everywhere in the news these days. AI is fucking everywhere. It's like taking over the world.
It certainly is.
Because Brian won't shut the fuck up about it.
Really won't.
And so
Guys,
with that, I decided every once in a while, whenever I see something that's interesting, I will drop it into Feel Good Friday if it has to do with AI. And before we listen to it, I've come up with a little segment throw to, right?
And it's called,
so
instead of AI, it's a bri because I fucking love it.
Sure.
It should be called I Ain't Hearing It.
This is this week's edition of Abri.
Dude, okay, I'm glad you kept that short, just so that we don't get
copyright.
Copyright infringement. That's Robot Rock by a little band nobody really knows about called Daft Punk. AI solves lung cancer.
Yeah.
I made that title up. It's not true, but
not that at all. But
however, this is kind of fucking crazy.
You know what is crazy though?
It could be the beginnings of
this could be the beginnings.
So,
yeah,
but it is crazy that you said that, and I would like my reaction was like, I'm not surprised.
Well, we're not there yet, Bri.
No, I know.
This is all due to Sybil. Are you guys familiar with Sybil?
No.
Well, Sybil is not a thing that you straddle with a dildo that you put inside you and sit on.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Wait, but it's not called a Sybil. It's called
a Sybian.
Sybian. Right?
Sybil is the name of the AI tool that was used here. So researchers in Boston have developed an AI tool that detect early signs of lung cancer years before doctors would typically find it on a CT scan. The AI tool, called Sybil, was created by scientists at the Mass General Cancer Center and the Massive Two Shits Institute of Technology, MIT. The Massive Two Shits Institute of Technology.
Can you spell it for me?
The MASSIVETWOSHITS Institute of Technology. Massive Two Shits. Located in Cambridge. And has been shown to accurately predict whether a person will develop lung cancer in the next year with 86 to 94% accuracy in one of the studies.
So here's the thing that because I saw this from Jerry News.
That's pretty accurate.
And so I am wondering, the question that I want to know is if we were to talk to a researcher or a physician, somebody, is the difference between what is it? It's specificity and
I know what you're talking about.
Can you give me a quick Google search? It's specificity versus I'm drawing a blank on specificity and sensitivity, and the two things are basically,
since you couldn't fucking figure out what it was, sensitivity and specificity mathematically describe the accuracy of a test which reports the presence or absence of a condition.
Yeah. So when something is really sensitive, it means that it is sacrificing accuracy.
It's basically overdiagnosing.
It can be. So like there's more false positives in something that's highly sensitive. And so basically like you get too much of one of them.
Okay.
So
Sorry, why are you saying this?
So I'm saying this because when it says it's accurate, I'm wondering if that means that it is very sensitive or specific.
So you're wondering if the AI is going around like, you've got lung cancer and you've got lung cancer and you've got lung cancer, and like really only one of us does, but it just said all three.
I mean, lung cancer is the third most common cancer in the U.S. But let's see here. So the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, currently recommends that adults at risk for lung cancer get a low-dose CT scan to screen for the disease annually. However, even with regular screenings, the most skilled radiologists may miss certain signs of the disease. This is where Sybil comes in, as it looks for signs of where cancer is likely to appear, helping doctors detect it as early as possible. So lung cancer is like I said, the most common cancer in the U.S. And leading cause of cancer death, with more than 238,000 new cases and over 127,000 deaths estimated for this year alone by the American Cancer Society. Early detection is key to treating the disease, but it can be difficult since the lungs cannot be seen or felt.
Do you mean what do they mean by that?
We can't open you up and look at your lungs. We can't like palpate your lungs. They're deep inside the body, and so all we have is like CT scans. CT scans can help detect cancer sooner, reducing the risk of death from lung cancer by 24%. But an AI tool like Sybil could potentially increase early detection rates and survival rates as well. So Sybil works by analyzing a single CT scan's three-dimensional image. So CT scans take a bunch of like shots, pictures from the inside of your body, and then they like create a 3D image that you can kind of look through. And Sybil does basically what a radiologist does. It looks for signs of abnormal growths in the lungs, as well as other patterns or nuances that scientists don't fully understand yet. So you've got the like eyes of the radiologist in the AI, but the AI is also doing what we've seen it been doing with other things like, schizophrenia and things like this, where it's finding these patterns that like the naked eye of a radiologist actually just can't see because we don't even know what those things are.
But it's also really based on like the data that it's trained on. So like from my understanding of it, and I'm not specifically speaking to this, but in general, like it just ingests a whole fuckload of data. Like it would look at like thousands of these scans historically, or hundreds of thousands, and then it would go, okay, I'm now looking at this new scan. I know all of these past scans that were positive. What does this new scan have? And is there things in common that like go far beyond, because there's so much fucking data that it would be impossible for like a human being to analyze it and look and see those patterns. It's able to detect some sort of patterns in it that like the human can't. And therefore it says, hey, this person is likely going to develop lung cancer or whatever.
So the difference that I'm hearing between this and like something that could again, it would be amazing to talk to somebody about this, but like I was listening to this conversation with Peter T, an oncologist once, and they were talking about like sort of like the next generation cancer screening and like being able to figure out in a more timely manner whether somebody is going to develop cancer. And because obviously cancer, in almost all cancers, the issue is finding it at the right time. Like if like most cancers, if they're found at the right time, they're very treatable. And he was talking about how you could look. He was talking about blood. They were called blood biopsies. That's what they were called. And you could detect cancer cells in the blood, but because so many people have blood cancer cells,
They're overly sensitive,
and so you can't really accurately say whether or not that person to develop a tumor or a cancer just because the presence of the cells are there, because their body might go on to go, hey, you've got these cancer cells, let's kill them.
Yeah.
And then they never develop. Yeah. But you can always find, and it was something like the smallest detectable tumor that a CT scan can pick up is a billion cells.
It's funny because the perfect anecdote that we have for this type of technology now is actually our newly understood technology that we're using, which is large language models like ChatGPT. So like people can use ChatGPT and type in a question and ask it a question, and they look at the output, the output, and they go, how the fuck did it know? Like, how did it know to put those words right in the right order, in the right way that makes sense to answering my question?
Because it's a beep boop.
Yeah, right. It's a really
beep
intense
boops, beep boops.
Beep boop. And it's the same way with these things. It's like, you put in a scan and you're like, does this have cancer? And it just outputs an answer. And you're like, I don't really fucking know how that worked. Yeah. But
it beeps when you boop.
It beep booped, and most of the time it's right.
But the issue, or the potential issue, because like obviously when you look at these things and you go, oh my God, it has this amazing potential, you also have to think about what are the potential drawbacks? How could it be? We're looking at how it could be helpful. How could it also be harmful? And I think it is ultimately the question of like the sensitivity and the specificity, because you go, well, the one thing you want to avoid it doing is telling a person who doesn't have cancer that they do, and then the sort of like cascading effects that come from somebody thinking that they have cancer. Like,
but again, this is early stages of this technology, and they're saying that Sybil provides predictions for whether a person will develop lung cancer in the next 1 to 6 years, and there have been cases where Sybil has detected signs of cancer that a radiologist did not detect until nodules were visible on a CT scan years later. But here, there's another piece of this which I find very interesting about the fact that AI, is far from perfect. And one of the issues is the type of data they use to train AI, which may not represent the diversity of the country's population. According to Anant Madabushi, a professor in the Department of Biomedical Engineering at the Emory University School of Medicine in Atlanta, he believes that AI tools are not being developed in a way that is tailored to help Black and brown people. The scientists who developed Sybil have acknowledged that the data used to create the AI tool does not include sufficient Black or Hispanic patients to have confidence in broad applicability yet.
Interesting.
Another concern is overdiagnosis, which is kind of sort of in line with where you guys, I think we were going there, where doctors may put patients through an unnecessary biopsy for a nodule that may end up being benign. Dr. Kim Sandler, I believe sister of Adam Sandler, actually, an associate professor of radiology at Vanderbilt University Medical Center in Nashville, acknowledges this concern, but also believes that Sybil could be a valuable tool to help doctors make important treatment decisions, which to me, that makes a lot of sense, because it's like, if this is picking up on, something that it sees, and it's signifying that it's like found something, but nobody else is seeing it, is there potentially a way that this thing brings up a red flag before anyone would notice it, and then looking into that red flag actually being able to pinpoint and find something that otherwise you probably wouldn't have for a year or two? Like that to me seems very useful.
I think that is that something that you said a minute ago, Brian, which coincides with that, Jer, is like, if you input the scan and you output a positive cancer diagnosis, and the oncologist can't look at that and go, I understand why it's telling me this, then in my estimation, an ethical oncologist is not going to tell somebody that they have cancer, because if they can't tell them why they think they have cancer, then they're just not going to say it. So it kind of in that output of, yes, this is a cancer diagnosis, which is a whole separate conversation, which kind of leads us to like, is that an AGI then? Because it's like, if it can tell you why it is giving a cancer diagnosis, and that reason is something that science doesn't even understand or know about yet, then it's basically made a discovery that is indicative of an artificial general.
And then we must bow down.
The thing that we're talking about, though, and you bring up a good point, Taylor, is that like a cancer diagnosis is more nuanced than you have cancer or you don't.
Yeah.
Like if a doctor came to me and said, hey, listen, we need to do a CT scan because you have these like, these interesting symptoms, or, you're 50 years old and it's time to have a checkup, and we just want to do a CT scan for whatever reason. And the AI identifies that I might have cancer and I have an increased risk of getting cancer in 5 or 6 years. That might be a scary thing to tell me, but also maybe I can find comfort in the fact that I know that it's being caught early enough if there is something to be concerned about. Because like, rather than it just saying like, you will have cancer in 6 years, and that being a diagnosis, it's more so the fact that it's like, you will likely develop cancer in 6 years, but we're going to monitor you and we'll be able to treat this early enough that it's not going to cause you problems.
Yeah.
I mean,
or you're going to have the best
there's got to be
chance
some
at
degree of
being
confidence in that. Otherwise, there has to be a very high degree of confidence in that, because if there's not, and again, going back to the why is there a high reasoning, a high degree of confidence, if it can tell you, because then, I mean, especially for a medical system like Canada, which is universal healthcare, because we have universal healthcare, one of the drawbacks of that is the burden of having 40 million people who have access to a healthcare system. It's like the upside and the downside is that the healthcare has a lot of burdens on it. So if you have people that are going, you need more screening over the next 5 years because you are showing that you're like have a higher likelihood, then that obviously has a downstream effect in terms of like, booking those scans, taking up resources. So you have to be, I mean, if you can really confidently say that this is going to ultimately save you from like a very burdensome, personally for the person and on the healthcare system, cancer treatment, of like surgery or chemo treatment or whatever, then you're really into some.
But I mean, early
territory.
detection is a massive step in the right direction of saving
Totally,
lives before having to get to a point of,
absolutely
surgery and things like that. I mean, I don't actually know that, but like my assumption would be the earlier you find out, the
less
more
invasive it has to,
exactly.
the treatment has to be.
Exactly.
But we're already seeing, like, we already have examples of this in the past with like genetics, like the evolution of genetics and
like
genetic testing.
23andMe stuff.
Like there are, I mean,
So you say eugenics?
Yeah. Brian's super big on eugenics.
So, but like,
talk about it
but for
very
example,
heck?
I know that
The
Huntington.
heck?
So, for example, Huntington's disease is different, whereas like you have the gene for Huntington's, which means that you're going to get it. But there's a lot of genetic tests that say like you have a heightened risk at getting this thing.
Yeah.
We can't say for sure, but there's a good chance. So you want to make sure that you're getting tested.
I mean, if you're getting 94%, that's that's a big percentage. I think that's what I said there. It was like it was 80 something to 94. But like, if someone tells you you have a 94% chance of getting lung cancer,
and it's only going to get better. Like it's only going to get better at detecting that. Where it's going to be.
Yeah. But going back to the specificity and sensitivity thing, it's like it was almost like I can't remember exactly what the numbers were, but I remember Peter Attia and this guy basically saying, if the sensitivity is above a certain number or the sensitivity is above a certain number, sensitivity or specificity, there's like, if it's over a certain number, then that's a bad test.
It's not that accurate.
They just look at that test and they go, that number's too high.
Well,
I can't remember. I think it was like 80%.
Time will tell. And that was this week's edition of A Bri. All right, now let's talk about everyone's favorite pastime.
And you must be the Monopoly guy.
Monopoly.
Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls.
This
I love
has
that scene.
nothing to do with Sick Boy, but I just love the title of this article so much that I had to include it. 2 men, I guess it does have, there's hospitalization here. 2 men hospitalized after a game of Monopoly end in a sword fight.
You see those warriors from Hammerfell? They've got curved swords. Curved swords.
Hey, what was that from?
Skyrim. A Monopoly game in Brussels turned bloody after an irritated man approached the players with a Japanese samurai sword.
Wow.
Police said the fight erupted at around 5 a.m. Who's playing fucking Monopoly at 5 a.m.?
Belgians, man. Belgians are fucking nuts.
It's a competitive game. Like if it runs late,
hey, I've lost my temper playing Monopoly, so I'm not going to blame the guy. On April 2nd, when a group of 4 people had been playing the popular board game on the sidewalk outside their home, man, Brussels sounds sick. Let's fucking go. Samurai swords, Monopoly at 5 a.m. on the curb.
It actually does sound like an amazing night.
This is all according to the local paper La Libre Belgique.
Until
the participants were loud enough to wake up their neighbors. A father and son who came outside to ask the group to leave. Things quickly became heated when the players and the father and son duo, resulting in the son bringing out a katana for defense.
Oh, so it wasn't the 2 players fighting each other.
They were having so much boisterous fun because Monopoly is fun.
It is fun.
And they were playing at 5 a.m. when everyone's trying to fucking sleep. And so daddy and son come outside and they say, hey, can you fucking move it inside? It's 5 a.m.
I'm not sure that's how it went. Like in my mind, it's like these guys are playing on the sidewalk. It's getting so heated between them, like together. Imagine getting so heated in a game of Monopoly, and then somebody else comes out to get mad at you when you're already mad.
Yeah.
Like no
well,
wonder.
but here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. okay, right. So they were mad at the two fucking ding dongs that were playing Monopoly at 5 a.m. on the fucking street corner.
And the guy who was losing
And
for
the guy
sure.
The guy was losing. He was pissed.
started to
Daddy
beef
and
with him.
son come out, as daddy and son do, and they said, "Can you shut the fuck up?"
Yeah.
And the guy in the corner was like, "You shut the fuck up. I'm the fucking thimble, and I'm and this motherfucker just took Broadway or whatever, you know."
Yeah.
And then the son goes, "Dad, I'm gonna go get my sword." So he goes in, he gets a samurai sword.
John, was it one of them? John Claude Van Damme,
I think it was John Wick, dude.
Muscles from Brussels.
Fucking, they come back out after a fight breaks out. In the midst of the fight, the sword scabbard got damaged, exposing the blade of the sword.
The scabbard got
Wait,
damaged.
so he didn't even draw the sword yet. He's
Well,
just like,
Well, I mean, once the sword, I don't know if you guys know the rules when it comes to Japanese samurai swords, but as soon as you reveal the blade must exit and the blade must draw blood.
Oh wow.
So, local police spokesperson told the newspaper that the player tried to grab the katana and remove the holster. The son tried to get it back. Ultimately, both the son and one of the Monopoly players were wounded and reportedly both taken to hospital. Where the son, who was he was struck in an artery and remains in critical condition.
Oh my God. The son who took the sword out.
It's not funny.
it's actually the worst because like in a, like the
I
rule.
mean, that part's not funny.
Isn't this like a general
No.
rule in
It's not funny.
in
not funny
in like
at all.
theater or cinema when a gun is shown it must be fired. Like if they
Wait, what?
like
Yeah.
a general rule in like cinema or theaters, when a gun is brought into the storyline,
It's gonna kill someone.
it's gonna shoot.
Yeah.
Like that's
I'm
I
gonna
don't-
shoot.
I remember I studied film and video in like
Wish I had
grade
that
12.
You should have had that.
But I learned about this in like film and video in grade 12. That when a gun is brought into a story, it will be shot. But it's kind of like this. Like the guy.
Interesting.
I mean, the guy.
Hey, the guy brought a sword. It
I mean,
must be cut. It must cut.
I
Right.
just saw a scene last night in the show that I'm watching, Your Honor, second season. Not as good as the first season. Where a gun shows up in the scene and does not go off.
But maybe
Well, that's bad writing.
in the next
That's
episode.
bad television writing right there.
Okay. I'm just poking holes. That's
Was
all.
there a cliffhanger though? Like, did it go? Like, is the gun in the next episode?
Well, it certainly seemed for a minute like the gun was definitely going to go off.
Well, so I mean, you guys are bigger theater and TV buffs than I am, but with my anecdotal experience of seeing a gun in a show, which was the OC,
right.
I know for sure it went off.
I mean, Marissa's fucking dead.
She fucking died.
She did.
Hey, all this talk about lungs makes me want to talk about lungs more.
We have been talking about.
So let's
yeah.
talk about lungs some more. This is actually from Jen McGee. Thanks from Jen McGee on our Discord. You can come on over to our Discord. The link is in the bio. And you can send us content that we can use on Feel Good Friday. So Jen McGee, you are, what do you call it? Producer of the
awesome.
week. Hey, you're
What?
fucking awesome.
I was gonna say fucking awesome.
This is actually really neat and kind of dumb. A small shift in temperature could have a big effect on how lung transplants are performed worldwide.
What?
So Canadian transplant scientists say they may be able to help boost the number of lungs available for transplants, all with a simple tweak of temperature.
Oh, global warming.
No. They have been conducting studies that show that storing lungs at 10 degrees Celsius warmer than the current standard of 4 degrees Celsius, so 14 degrees Celsius, I guess, is better for lungs harvested for transplant.
No, 10 degrees from 4 degrees.
10 degrees warmer
Oh.
than the current standard of 4
sorry,
degrees
sorry.
is 14 degrees Celsius.
That is good. That
good
is the
math.
right math. Yep.
They also created the world's first cooler that they say stays at 10 degrees Celsius. Oh, I see. I see. So they're not saying 10 degrees warmer than 4. They're saying 10 degrees, which is warmer
Warmer.
than 4 degrees.
Right.
There's
so
a comma in there.
They made a 10 degree Celsius cooler, the world's first, which is fucking dumb, boosting the shelf life of a donor's lungs from 6 hours up to 36 hours and perhaps longer.
I thought they were just gonna say that like the fridge broke and like
Yeah.
it like the temperature went up and they were like, oh
Like,
shit,
these things will last forever.
they're doing better.
It is actually, it's kind of shocking.
Isn't
Like,
that
you're
dumb?
right. Yeah, it is very
But hold
dumb.
on, it gets dumber. And here I'll tell you why. So okay, they said There's a huge interest in people all over the world. There's a huge interest in people all over the world because it's a simple solution. It's not that complex. Said Dr. Shaf Khashoggi, a thoracic surgeon and chief of innovation at the University Health Network, UHN. According to the most recent data available from the Canadian Institute for Health Information, more than 220 people are waiting across the country for a lung transplant. The cooler, called the X-Port, has allowed the transplant team from UHN to collect donor lungs from further afield because the traditional 6 to 8 hours window, which ice kept lungs viable for a transplant, is now gone. So he said, we've been to California, we went to Nevada, we've been to Arizona. I love how they're just going to like the hottest places. In the cities. I think hopefully this will allow us to go to different continents, said Dr. Marcelo Sybil, surgical director of the transplant program at UHN, who helped design the technology. It looks...
The technology for the cooler?
Yeah, dude, I know. This is why it's so dumb. So
I think the X-Port is actually... I think you get one of these at... The NSLC, if you buy a 24 case of Oland X-Port, they give you the X-Port cooler, which keeps your beer warmer than you want it.
10 degrees. You know what's funny though is like my fridge, which is, I mean, like
you can
most
just tell
fridges, which have been around for years.
Like any newer fridge.
You just like, but even like the older ones with like the analog
dial
or whatever, you just change. You set that shit to 10 degrees.
Yeah.
What?
So, but here's the thing,
right? We could though.
Yeah, totally.
The X-Port, it's pretty high tech.
It
looks like any white plastic picnic cooler, except it's on wheels.
Oh, whoa!
And
is this an Onion article? What's happening?
No. And this is actually CTV. And there's a GPS tracker.
I feel like CTV.
I mean, CTV is basically the fucking Onion. You know what I mean? CBC all the way. Fuck you, CTV. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're CBC fans
CBC,
over here.
Yeah, that's it. It's got a GPS tracker and it's got a temperature gauge on the side. High tech.
Okay.
I actually believe you can get a Yeti cooler just like this at the fucking trail side, like down the street.
For sure. Yetis are high tech. Actually, you know what? I honestly, maybe a bit of a hot take. I think that Yeti coolers are way overpriced and they're not really that good.
But here's a hot take. Everything on planet Earth is overpriced.
Here's another interesting piece here.
Except Sick Boy's Patreon.
The way that's right.
That's right.
Here's how the whole thing works. You open the fucking cooler that has the GPS, that has the temperature gauge, that has the wheels, and it's just a set of lungs surrounded by a series of novel gel packs that keep it constantly at 10 degrees.
It's like my lunch in fucking grade 4.
There's no electricity, said a doctor.
So it's not like a small fridge on wheels that is adjusting the temperature.
No, dude, it's a beer cooler with fucking ice packs
and a GPS and wheels.
Okay. So another twist, the donor lung would be implanted in a recipient the following morning, almost 18 hours after retrieval, almost 3 times longer than the usual. So this is when he was showing the lungs to CTV. He was like, hey, check this out. He fucking opened it. He like, look, see, you got the lungs here.
Which is crazy.
18 hours later, those lungs went into someone.
Which is crazy. You know why? Because, I mean, with stuff that's like really temperature sensitive, opening up the cooler is no bueno.
Here's a novel idea. Why don't they make the coolers?
Maybe the X-Port is better than we thought.
Why don't they make them see-through? Then they don't even have to open them up to show people.
It's true.
I mean, it wouldn't be that much of a leap from the groundbreaking tech.
So here's the part that I thought was really stupid. The idea that warmer might be better for organs was first floated some 3 decades ago, but fell by the scientific wayside.
See, that was the part at the beginning that I didn't really understand, because you'd think at some point after they realized that transplant lungs, then they would obviously go to, okay, well, we need to not transport lungs, but transport organs in general.
Yep.
They would go, okay, well, how do we transport human organs from where they were retrieved to where they need to go? And obviously they obviously experimented with tissue degradation over time at different temperatures. They would go,
obviously not.
We're going to start, start at this temperature, and we're going to go down from there, and we're also going to go up from there, and we're going to stop at the
But they didn't.
goalposts where it's obviously bad on either end.
But they
and we're-
didn't do that.
Like that's
What?
that.
No, that's what they
It's
should have
science.
done. That's what they should have done.
science.
That's what they should have done. But what they did do is someone came up with the idea of that, and then somebody else went, but ice on its own keeps it fucking good. And they went, all right, cool. Yeah, sure, it's cool. Like the ice will just keep it from, it'll slow down the deterioration. So let's stick with that.
This is like one of those
Instead of someone
ideas-
going, but wait, why don't we sacrifice a few organs to look at what happens
Right.
over these temperatures or these temperatures? But somebody else went, ice is good.
Do-
And then they went, it's just laziness. That's what this is.
This is the biggest. This article should be about how big of a scientific blunder this is.
Now get this. Here's the part that blew my fucking mind about this. Because of that small viability window, 80% of lungs never make it to the donor and are unsuitable
Whoa.
for transplant.
that is actually
What?
so sad.
80%, 80.
Wait, what?
Unless I somehow accidentally added a Y to the number 8, but I didn't because I copy and pasted this from CTV.
Wait. So they were already losing 80% of the lungs,
Yeah.
and they weren't like, maybe we should try to experiment with some of these to figure out how we might be able to.
I really hope there is some sort of like smart person listening to this that's like, this is their field, and they just go, like,
Was this published
guys,
on April
hold
1st?
the fucking phone. This was published.
Not April 1st.
No, this was published like quite recently.
Damn.
This is
Jen
honestly
McGee put this in the thing here, and this was published. I'll tell you right now, April 10th.
This is honestly just
Jen
sad.
McGee is pretty smart too, so maybe Jen.
Jen
can-
McGee might just message us on Discord and go, "You fucking idiots!
Yeah. Well.
It's not that simple."
I
But
mean,
you know what?
anyway.
It is,
Yeah.
and that's and
Well, I mean, this isn't a commentary on Jen sharing the article.
No.
This is a
No.
commentary on.
this is clearly all Jen's fault. So moving on, I'm gonna revoke the producer of the week, Jen, and I'm fucking banning you from the Discord because I'm a Discord moderator. And all right, let's move on. But that is kind of crazy, right? Like that's some wild shit.
I mean, but also let's look at the bright side.
That reminds me.
And the bright side is that it looks like more people will get lungs.
You know what? Maybe this is just a result of, when like people are like, oh, I have this idea that we should do this thing, but like, surely that's been done before.
Right.
And so they just don't do it. Do you think it's
Surely.
like, I don't know.
I get it. Airplane.
And who did it? You know what I mean? All right, Bri, that reminds me that we had a really nice. We were just talking about organ donation. We posted about the Green Shirt Day, and we put it up on our TikTok. It got lots of traction. That's great. Nice to see people caring about organ donation. But there was an interesting comment on that TikTok, and it was something that we didn't quite realize. So I think in the video. And what we referred to when we spoke about this was if you don't live in Nova Scotia, make sure you opt into organ donation, the organ donation list, because in Nova Scotia, we have a system here, which I just learned, which was only here. I thought it was Canada-wide, that you have to opt out. And so we were talking about that in the TikTok, but somebody commented on something that I was like, oh, that's fucking interesting. I
Yeah,
didn't know
somebody
that.
commented to tell us that if you don't, so we're all opted in automatically.
Mhm.
But if you don't actually sign up and say that you want to be an organ donor,
It's like a soft opt-in.
and you die and your family or your next of kin decide that they don't want to donate your organs, then they can prevent your organs from being donated.
Right.
So you should still opt in to ensure that if you want your organs donated, that
Because
they get donated.
Because if you go through the process of like double opting in,
then you're doubly sure.
you're basically revoking the ability for your family to say no.
And honestly, I was telling you
What
guys
a
this, and
selfish
this is a pretty
Horrific.
I feel like this is really important to share too, because like I know that my family has gone through something similar to this.
Right, you were saying that's really interesting.
And so my grandparents, when my uncle died in a motorcycle accident, they decided not to donate his lungs. I don't know if he had signed up to be an organ donor or not, but I know that
He obviously didn't, right? Because
I guess he wouldn't have. It was in New Brunswick, and this was like 30 years ago. But I know that there's a lot of like grief that happens when you're dealing with the loss of a loved one.
Yeah.
And you can be very like protective over their
Clouded
physical
judgment.
remains. And so, even if you think that your family would honor the fact and want to donate your organs, it is worth it to opt in proactively, because there are situations where they can decide otherwise for you. And so, keep your autonomy.
All right, well, let's move on. This is from Stina. Shout out to Stina from our Discord. Study finds men will exaggerate when self-reporting masculinity-related traits, especially penis size.
I'm going to be huge. I'm going to be bigger than huge.
According to a recent study...
What is that from?
I don't know. According to a recent study, Dutch men... Now, they're specifically saying Dutch men. I think this kind of relates to all men, really.
I mean, I think it definitely relates to North American men.
Not me. I'm 6 foot. Dutch men are more likely to exaggerate when asked about traits related to masculinity. Specifically, they tend to overestimate their athleticism, their height, their weight, and most of all, their pee-pee size.
I feel like this is like
when it comes to erect penis size, the men in the study reported being 21% over the average. That's a
not a small
All right,
amount.
we got 6 tall men versus 1 short king.
It's funny. I feel like this is like a smear campaign against men, because they're tall, they're handsome, they're athletic stereotypically. And so like, I feel like it was just like, I'm sure this was like some jaded English guy who was just like feeling jealous after a trip to Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm.
And since Amsterdam just like did you guys see that Amsterdam said if any British people come and get drunk, they're going to throw them in jail for like 80 days, because like British guys have been going to Amsterdam as like a bachelor party place for like
that's
years,
an
and
article.
they're just getting very, very drunk.
Article.
No, it's not. It's real.
They might have said that, but
It is. It's real.
You're
But
British
yeah.
and you're drunk? Fucking
yeah,
slammer,
you
bubbo.
have different laws apply to you.
So it's well established that penis size is seen as a marker of masculinity. So it's no surprise that men feel the need to exaggerate in this area. But the study also found that men overestimate their height and athleticism on dating sites to increase their chances of success in the mating market.
I'm tall.
I am tall.
I am tall.
I'm tall.
I am tall.
I am tall.
I'm tall.
And I am tall.
The study authors wanted to see whether the amount of money men were paid for the study affected how much they were exaggerating.
Huh.
So they gathered up a group of 191 Danish men between the ages of 18 and 35 and divided them into 2 groups.
Hold on, I thought these were Dutch men.
Well, this is what it said. This is what it says. I mean, I did punch all of this into ChatGPT, so maybe ChatGPT is confused. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Well, they're either from Denmark or they're from
it doesn't fucking
neighboring
matter.
countries.
It doesn't fucking matter. They ain't us. Us Canadians, we stick to the truth. I'm 6 foot. I am tall.
I'm 5'10".
So yeah, so they gathered a group of 191 Dutch or Danish men or something between the ages of 18 and 35 and divided them into 2 groups. One was paid $5 or 5 Deutschgets. And the other was paid $22.
Or how much?
Or 22 Deutschgets. They asked the men to report on their height, weight, athleticism, and pee-pee size, both flaccid and rock hard, and compared to the responses to the known averages for the Dutch population. The results are that men tend to overestimate their height, athleticism, and penis size, but not their weight. The researchers noted that men were marginally more athletic than the scale midpoint, significantly taller than the Danish mean for their age group, and claimed to have penises several centimeters longer than the average for the population. Now, maybe they just fucking accidentally picked 191 fucking horses, you know? Like some mad studs.
I know, but you pick
With some big old fucking wieners.
You should be picking a number of people that makes it so that it all evens out.
Mine's is so big I can bend it round and put it in my own ass.
Oh my god!
It
That was
reminds
a
me-
quote from one of the guys.
Hung like the
That's weird.
horses,
That's
more
funny.
like the horses on I Think You Should Leave at the ranch, where the horses with the tiny dicks.
Interestingly, men were much more likely to exaggerate their penis size than their height, perhaps because it's easier to get away with exaggerating when no one can see the goods. And when men were paid $5 instead of $22, they were more likely to report penis sizes that were larger than the claimed world record of 34 centimeters.
What?
Wait, what?
Oh, dude, that's an AI. That's an AI.
That's an AI joke, I
That's an
think.
AI,
Hey,
yeah.
let's go.
All right. Well, hold on. What do you? Well, hold on. What do we think about this? Like, if you try to accurately and honestly reflect on how you would estimate these categories for yourself if somebody was asking you.
So
What would you say?
I actually have I've thought about this, and I know that what I'm going to say is like, I guarantee you a lot of people are going to hear what I'm going to say and they're going to fucking bullshit, but I fucking mean it. I don't have a very large penis. I also don't have a very small penis. I have a very average penis. And I've always been very okay with my average size penis.
Mm-hmm.
I also am very okay with admitting that I have currently right now, if I drop trow, I would have a very small penis.
Drop trout.
Dude,
But when my penis gets very excited because there is something exciting in front of it,
You're a shower, not a. You're a
Grower,
grower.
not
You're
a
a grower,
shower,
not a
yeah.
shower.
it is. It stands at attention and does its job, and it looks good doing
And
it.
you're very proud.
And I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of my erect wee wee.
I would agree with that. And I spent a lot of time in a locker room where like I can't lie.
Yeah,
Can't lie.
and then
It's out there for the world to see.
when
You're-
it comes to height and weight, again, like I've always been. I actually maybe this has changed now because
I'm gonna be huge.
I want to.
I'm gonna be bigger than
Oh,
you.
God damn it. I fucking just found out that I actually am categorized. I fall under the category of a short king.
No.
And I thought
What's
that
the
I
cutoff?
I just passed the cutoff, which I didn't. I'm actually the peak. It's 5'9" or under. You are a short
no,
king.
dude, that's
All
not
right,
true.
we got 6 tall men
That's not
versus
true.
1 short king.
So I am a short king.
That's not true.
Technically.
That's not true.
It is true.
No.
Look, fucking Google it, dude.
But wouldn't a short
Yeah,
king,
whatever.
by definition, be somebody shorter than the average?
What is a
Dude,
short king?
What is the average height
Guys,
of a?
The term short king just makes me laugh every time.
we're all
I hear
short
it.
kings.
We're all short kings.
Let's see. What height is a short king? Now, hey, look.
Are you asking ChatGPT or
No,
are you
I'm
asking
asking Google. Urban Dictionary. Here we go. 5'9",
Fuck, dudes.
men under 5'9" to 5'7".
Shit.
So what's what?
So I guess.
if
Oh, so I
someone's
guess
under
you know what?
5'7". What are they?
They're
Men-
not.
So
they're
hold
short
on. It said
queen.
men under 5'9" to 5'7". I'm not a short king. So I am not a short king.
Under 5'9",
Under 5'9" to 5'7". I'm 5'9".
and you're saying you're 5'9".
I'm fucking 6 foot. So, dude, so you know what? So I actually would be proud. I would be proud. Not that there's anything wrong with short kings. That's why we've come up with the word short king
Yeah.
to make you feel good about your.
You're
Like Dave Culligan, don't worry, dude.
you're
You're killing it with the short. You're a short king.
Jared, you're directly insulting Taylor and I though at the same time.
Well, no, I'm not, because I'm saying congratulations, you guys are short kings. You guys are the kings.
Okay.
I'm just a regular old guy. I'm just a boring regular
You're-
guy. You're a short king.
wait, are you a tall cuck?
Yeah. That
No.
I think that accurately describes you.
I don't know.
Talk-
I'm just,
I'm not. I don't cuck.
I'm just wondering
No,
though.
I don't know.
Because you're not a short king,
You're not a king.
and you're not a
If
tall
you're not a king, you're kind of a cuck.
Maybe this is true.
King or cuck?
Do you guys know that the average height of men around the world is 5 feet 9 inches?
Oh, so I'm the average.
Yeah.
So again,
I'm-
like whatever.
I'm slightly below average.
Anyway, my whole point to that was, I've never understood the thing about like dating apps. When a guy says like, I'm just gonna put 6 foot, it's like, well, I guess I understand that is that's a thing to like maybe boost your self-esteem or get like to maybe up your chances in a competitive landscape of like dating or something. but also
if you are
like,
if you are overestimating,
lying about
if
it?
you're overestimating by a margin that is imperceptible, like you're 5'11",
right. If I was like I'm 5'10" and a half,
or you're whatever, like, and you're going, if you're 5'10" and a half, like if someone measured you up and they went, you're 5'10" and a half, and you go, like, I would expect you to say that you're 5'11", because why
Yeah.
the fuck wouldn't
Right.
you? You know what I mean? But if you're 5'9" and you say you're 6 foot, or you're 5'10" and you say you're 6 foot, like that's a difference that you could probably spot.
You know
Right.
what?
And so like that's weird.
But my whole thing is I don't get why. I don't get why you would.
I mean,
like,
just ego, like regular old ego comparison, wanting to feel
But-
or seem like you are
But dude, hold on.
other
But hold
than
on.
you are.
But hold
I
on.
mean, that's just really
if you are taking an anonymous if you're giving results to an anonymous
yeah.
like test or not a test but like a study where they're not going to know your name, it's like why even do it there? Like what's the
I don't know.
like why
I don't know.
why skew
But
the science
I think that
for your own ego?
I think that some people.
so weird
I
to
think
me.
that some people. So I think that psychologically, some people want to believe that they're taller than they are, for sure. And so at some point in their life, somebody measured them and did a fucking shitty job at it, and like had the ruler fucking against the wall. That's like
on an angle.
on an angle, and they're like, yeah, you're like, somebody said to me, like, you're 5'9", and like, instead of believing that I'm 5'7", which I really am, I'm just walking around going, yeah, I'm 5'9", I'm
Sure.
5'9", because I'd like to believe the tallest thing somebody told
Right.
me.
Right.
You know what is
Right.
funny actually? That's funny you say that because the other day I was
Canada's average height, 5'4" for men.
What?
average height in
No.
Canada is 5'4".
No, that's 5. No.
That's so cute.
Sorry, that's average height
For anybody.
for anybody. Yes, so
Oh,
not
for
for
anyone.
men.
Okay.
I'll find the
Interesting little thing here. And again, size doesn't matter.
No.
It really doesn't.
No.
Height doesn't matter.
No.
It really doesn't.
No.
But
Huh?
I was at the clinic the other day.
Uh-huh.
I mean the other day. I was at the when I started the Trikafta, I started gaining weight. So I was 138 pounds like when I started Trikafta, and today I'm 100. Or the other day I was 171, 172. Quite a staggering difference in weight. When I was 138, I could get my hands on like Boost or like Ensure, like the like protein drink, to gain weight for free. They would just give it to me. They'd give me cases of it. And when I started the Trikafta, I was like, I mean, the first time I went to hospital, I was like 5-6 pounds heavier than I typically was. And I was like, hey, can I get some of that Boost? And they were like, oh no, you can't because you're now over like a certain BMI or something. And so we actually we're not regulated to give it out for free unless you fall under some sort of like BMI category.
Right. There's like a threshold where they're like,
Yeah.
we really need you to be heavier than you are.
Yes, exactly. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's a good problem to have. And then I went into the clinic. I went into the clinic for, something. And the dietitian came in and she goes, how tall are you? And I was like, I'm 5'9". And she goes, are you sure? And I was like, I think I don't know. That's what I've been telling
I
everybody.
mean, maybe I'm 6 foot. I don't know.
Yeah. And so she goes, it's interesting because I think on this chart it says 5'7", and I go, and no offense. I was like,
I'm not 5'7".
I was like, oh,
You're not talking to me.
I'm 5'7", and she was like, let's go check. So we go out, and she takes my height, and she goes, oh, you're 5'9", like you're 5'9" and a little bit. I mean, it doesn't matter. The little bit part doesn't matter. But she goes,
I'm 5'7" in a little bit, guys.
She goes, oh, you're 5'9", you're 5'9" a little bit. And she goes, you actually do qualify still for Boost, like for a little bit. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well,
Okay.
it doesn't fucking matter. But anyway, I just thought that was funny because I always thought I knew I was 5'9". I could just tell it's in my body. It's in my bones. But according to the fucking chart at the hospital, they were like, dude, we thought you were walking around here as short king. But really,
I'm tall.
You know what's funny though? You know what's funny about height? This is so I've always thought this as somebody who's 5'7". I've never really been insecure about my height, but also I've been 5'7".
because you fuck, dude.
But I've been 5'7" since like grade 7. I think I grew to this height relatively early, and I never thought of myself as being short.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
it couldn't have been grade 7
No, but like around then I was roughly
because I was really short in grade 7, and I feel like you and I have always grown at a similar kind of like
I don't know. Maybe that's your perception.
Yeah, I mean,
but,
you know, that's your ego talking here.
Could be.
But you were always like, yeah, I'm as tall as you, and I was like, you are a short king. And
Yo,
so,
Short King, how
because-
tall are you?
Because I
Me?
used to.
Tell me, Short King.
Exactly, or am I round up or round
You're
down?
exactly.
Like 5'8" and 3/4", something like that. Like close to 5'9".
Close to 5'9". I'm close to 5'8". I'm like 5'7"
Something like that.
and a half. But I've never been. It's funny because I've never been insecure about.
Do you think I'm
My-
lying?
Let's measure him right now.
You could measure me. I mean, fuck, I haven't been measured in a while. God,
Hey,
when was the last time
hey,
you?
my
When was the last
doctor-
time you just measured yourself?
My
When did you
doctor
measure
thought I
yourself
was
last?
Short King.
It's been a while.
I mean, fuck, why would you measure yourself? You know.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Hold on. I do have a question for you though. So they basically said, "Oh, you're taller than we thought you were from your chart,
Yes,
and so your
because
BMI is different."
Yeah, because my weight was so because I was taller and I weighed the amount that I weighed. They went, "Oh, you're actually under the BMI that you need to be, so you could add a few more pounds before we have to take you off that
And
list."
were you at your like 170 or whatever?
No. This was like early days. This was like a
Oh,
month or two.
okay.
A month or two in.
Because
from
I was gonna
taking-
say I'm
this
actually
was like January, and I started taking Trikafta in November.
like because I've always actually when you look at BMI chart, I mean BMI charts they're kind of fucked.
They're fucked. Yeah,
like
totally.
when I look at a BMI chart, I'm actually quite thin from like cycling, and like thin relative to like my historical weight, and I believe now I'm considered at least in some capacity overweight.
I'm overweight on the BMI.
I don't think you
BMI.
are now, but you would have been.
I'm currently overweight on the BMI scale.
Dude, I'm
if
more.
you did the calculation.
Yeah.
Which is, dude,
It's
look at me.
It's totally.
I'm
nuts.
I'm still rail thin. I just got a little bit of a baby bump.
Guys,
Or a
I'm
beer belly if Brian wants to fucking chime in.
I'm obese on.
You would
the-
be. Yeah, you
on
would
the
be
BMI
obese.
scale.
Yeah.
But anyway,
You don't look obese.
thank you. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you, Short.
You know,
King.
you know
All right,
what I
let's
wanna
move
say?
on. Let's
I
actually
do
move
want
on.
to say. I do want to say one last thing though
Fuck's
about the
sakes,
dating
God damn
thing.
it.
Is that you know what? If you're a person who goes on a date with a guy who's lying about his height, that's just a great. I mean, it's a good red flag to know immediately that that person has some
work to do.
challenges. Yeah,
Ouchie.
yeah.
Have you? So this is really cool. I actually saw this in a Instagram reel from our boys at Friday Pod or Almost Friday Pods or whatever, Friday Beers or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck they are.
Yeah.
They're funny. They were talking to someone and this person was talking about rough and tumble fighting. Have you guys ever heard of rough and tumble fighting?
No.
Okay, the three of us are very big fans of martial arts. We really like watching martial arts, and it's every weekend we're here watching fights.
I follow up, bang, bang, bang. Right away after that, dang it, the dang it, the dang. See what
Okay.
I'm doing?
Now UFC has been around for since I was a kid, and
30 years this year.
and for years people, I mean, still today people think it's barbaric, but for years, way more people
Yeah.
thought it was barbaric.
I mean,
than-
it's pretty barbaric.
It's not a bad argument.
no, totally.
Just saying,
Totally.
perception is.
But there are rules. And
There are-
here
there are rules.
and here are some of the rules for
and there's
people who don't
and
know.
there's nuance to it.
Here's some rules that people don't know. You are not allowed to kick a downed opponent or knee a downed opponent in the head.
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowed to pull hair. You're not allowed to gouge eyes.
Not
You're not
allowed
allowed
to hit
to
on the back of the head.
not allowed to hit in the back of the head. You're
not allowed to punch the dicky.
You're not allowed to choke with your hands around the neck.
Which would be a bad technique anyway.
It would be. You're not allowed to kick in the dick. You're not allowed. You are allowed to kick in the butthole.
You are not allowed to elbow somebody from the 12 midnight position down to the 6
Yeah,
position.
Yeah. So
Straight
a bunch
down
of
elbow is
rules.
not
A
allowed.
bunch of rules. Rough and tumble fighting, however, there ain't no rules.
Are they wearing gloves?
And oh no, buddy.
Is it
They
in
most
someone's
certainly
backyard?
Are not.
Right away you say, okay, I'm sorry. Bang, bang, bang. No, I'm not.
Okay, so rough and tumble fighting was actually a form of combat that evolved in the rural areas of southeastern United States in the 18th century.
You don't say.
In the 18th century.
It was brutal. It was no holds barred form of fighting that had no rules or limitations. Fighters could kick, bite, gouge, and scratch their opponents with sharp fingernails. We'll get back to the fingernail bit. The ultimate goal was to maim or incapacitate the opponent, often by gouging out their eyes.
Dude, is this, because this was back in the 18th century, it's in the 1700s, is this like, is this a nice way of saying it's slave fighting?
No, this wasn't. So that whole thing from Django Unchained, that they called it mandingo fighting, which is, we probably might want to bleep that out. It doesn't sound good. That's actually fake. That was like a fake thing that Quentin Tarantino put into the narrative of that film. If you look it up, there's no history of it. But rough and tumble fighting was a form of entertainment fighting that anybody could take part in.
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate goal was to maim or incapacitate the opponent, oftentimes by gouging out the eyes. Rough and tumble fights were frequently held in fields, taverns, or other gathering places, with spectators placing bets on the outcomes.
Honestly, it would be a sick video game.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. The origins of rough and tumble fighting are unclear, but it likely evolved from a combination of various forms of hand-to-hand combat. Some historians suggest that the fighting style may have been influenced by Native American and African fighting techniques, as well as the Irish and Scottish traditions of bare-knuckle boxing. The fighters themselves were often working-class men, such as hunters, trappers, farmers, and unskilled laborers. They were typically from rural areas and lacked formal education or training in combat sports. The fights were a way for them to settle disputes and prove their toughness and strength to their peers. The prize for winning was often just the satisfaction of beating one's opponent, although bets were sometimes placed on the outcome of the fight.
Imagine Rough and Tumble 1K783 as a video game, and you're choosing between the venue.
1K,
dude. When you said that, I was like, wait.
It took me a second to pick up. I was like, 1K783.
Imagine choosing between the
2K23.
venue where the level is, and you choose a tavern or the field, and but it's sick graphics from today, and there's there's fires in the background, the atmosphere.
Yeah,
it would be so good.
It would be very fun.
As a video game, it would suck in real life.
Wait till you hear this though. One of the defining features of rough and tumble fighting was the use of long, sharpened fingernails to gouge out the opponent's eyes.
Wow.
Yeah, see, that would be a special ability.
Fighters would sharpen their nails. Here's an image, a drawing image of one of their hands. Sharpens would sharpen their nails and coat them in wax or resin to make them harder and more durable. One of the fingers are missing there because oftentimes men would bite the fingers off of other men during the fights.
You'd have to be pretty dexterous to get somebody's finger in your mouth while you're fighting with them.
Dude, oh hell yeah, yeah. I mean, so once the fight began, the fighters would attempt to scratch their opponent's face and eyes, often resulting in permanent disfigurement or blindness. Eyeballs were sometimes gouged out of their sockets, which was considered the ultimate victory. Despite the brutal nature of the fights, there were often popular events, attracting large crowds of spectators. The fights were sometimes held in taverns or other public places where alcohol flowed freely, and the rowdy crowd egged on the fighters. The fights were sometimes interrupted by law enforcement or local authorities, but they were usually able to continue in other locations. Rough and tumble fighting was most prevalent in the rural Carolinas and Western Virginia, but it eventually spread to other areas, including Kentucky, Tennessee. Kentucky and Tennessee. In these I was waiting for more. In these sparsely populated regions, there was less emphasis on puritanical and Enlightenment ideals that deemed prize fighting as gauche in urban areas. Prize fighting at least had rules and limits, but rough and tumble was the most violent form of fighting in the U.S. at the time. And despite its popularity, rough and tumble fighting was widely condemned by the cultural elite at the time. Historians often viewed the fighters as dregs of American society, uneducated and uncivilized. Many viewed the fights as barbaric and a stain on the nation's character.
Wow.
In the 19th century, the popular of rough and tumble fighting began to wane as other combat sports such as boxing and wrestling gained a wider acceptance. Boxing in particular became a more organized and regulated sport with clear rules and weight classes, and prize fighting became legal and accepted in many areas while rough and tumble fighting faded into obscurity.
And
In
no
conclusion,
cheating, and no
rough and
cheating,
tumble.
no betting cheating at all in boxing.
No, yeah, totally clean sport.
You know what's
Never
interesting
fixed.
is
Isn't that fucking crazy though?
I
It
think
is.
about how you can almost see the progression from obviously there's a bunch of gap in time here, but the Roman gladiators fighting in the Colosseum to rough and tumble fighting to boxing and so on. Like it gets a little bit more tame over time in some ways, in a lot of ways. But do you think that people who went to the Colosseum to watch people kill each other,
I know the answer to this.
do you think that they experienced that as a traumatic event?
No.
Or do you think they were
No.
like, do you think it was just so
Dude, they were
normal
so
that-
fucking stoked. So again,
I know,
I've talked about this a
know.
number of times,
Like-
but on the Painfortainment episode of Hardcore History,
Mhm.
it wasn't traumatic for them. They were elated to take part in it. Dude, they used to do people think about those Coliseum things, you know, the ways that we typically think about it is like what we've seen in the media, which is like Gladiator, right? It's like two prisoners or several prisoners that are given some weapons and they're like, you guys go fight it out. The last man to live survives and gets to do it again the next day or whatever. It was way, way more fucking insane than that. And that's already insane. They would do things where they would do that. They would go, all right, we're going to take like 10 guys and we're going to put a lion in there and it's all for one. Like whoever if the lion kills them all, the lion wins. If one man's left standing, he's the winner. Okay, sure. There are reports like this is, you know, there were like posters and like writings of, they would take 100 bears and put them against 100 lions and just throw them in there and let them fucking go at it.
I mean, it's not.
Like,
It's like
that's. Can you imagine seeing 100 bears? Like that's something that's like.
Dude,
that's like one of those like weird fucking drunk nights where like, what do you think? Do you think 100 bears would beat 100 lions?
How much time do I have to prepare?
dude, it is literally
crazy.
YouTube thumbnail clickbait titles of like scenarios in real life before technology even exists.
But what it would be, I mean, if we're following like the trajectory of how as humans we seem to evolve in some ways over time, like humans get more decent over time. That's the trajectory. So it wouldn't be weird to think that in.
I feel like I get more indecent over time. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
What happened to you guys?
I don't know how. Oh, stop rubbing your nipples. That if you follow the trajectory, it wouldn't be weird to think that in I don't know, maybe not 100 years, but like maybe a few hundred years, that we might look at any sport that causes a head injury and go, can you believe that anybody ever participated in a sport where head injury was just a part of it?
It's like fighting coming out of hockey,
Totally,
recently and things like that,
or just or hockey not existing,
or like hitting,
because it's like when you play hockey, you can get a head injury, like, you know, very easily, as opposed to like accidents that might happen in like a marathon or something like that.
Or like chair shopping.
Chair shopping, right? Or chair shopping, which does happen.
Ergonomic chair shopping.
So if you follow the progression, you can imagine, it's not hard to imagine a future where like no contact sport exists ever. And and that we will look back on that and go, do you think that people who went and enjoyed those sports thought that it was, like, felt like it was a traumatic event to see people getting concussions?
Yeah, like I could see a
And it's
future.
like, no,
I could
it's
see a
not
future
at
where
all.
like where people play violent sports, but it's all VR based, right? And then they look at that and they go, "Could you imagine
if we were actually
doing this with
this?
our actual bodies, like where we're not wearing a haptic vest and we like feel the sensation of getting slammed by like another football player, but like." Our actual rib cage would be like taking that damage. That's fucking crazy. Like I can see that.
Except it'd be more like this, and they'd be like the guys from Wall-E, and they'd be back in the chairs, and they'd be like, "Can you imagine?"
Yeah. And there's
doing this in real
and while they're
life?
having that conversation, there's just an automated fleshlight. There's just
Wait, hold on. I haven't seen Wall-E. Are these just like?
What, you've never seen Wall-E?
Oh,
haven't.
dude!
Oh my god, dude!
man,
You should watch
it.
that with your daughter.
Yeah,
Even though she won't understand a fucking thing that's going on.
100%. So
She won't understand anything.
Yeah, so we'll watch it with her anyway, and then watch it with her once a month until she understands it.
Wow.
Wall-E
That's
is
actually a good
a
suggestion.
futuristic little garbage robot that lives in this world where humans have fucked up the
He's dog
planet
water.
so
He's a beep
bad
boop.
that they live on the space station, and they don't move because everything is like automated and connected to them. So their bone density is so low that they just exist in these floating chairs where they float around and do shit.
It's animated, right?
Yeah, it's a beautiful movie.
Okay.
It's amazing. Guys, I love animated movies.
I mean, they're really great when they're done really well.
Pixar, Disney,
Yeah. I can't wait to see Super Mario
Super
Bros.
Mario.
Oh God, I've seen it twice, and I love it so much. Peaches, 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 peaches.
Taylor hasn't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. So I haven't seen it. So
That was really good.
oh no,
actually.
did they get Scott Stapp to?
No, it's
Jack Black.
Oh right.
Dude.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, folks, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you want to help us produce the show, come on over to the Discord, leave a comment, say hello, meet the gang. They're all there. We're all here. And if you want to support the podcast further, you can leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or go to your Spotify mobile app and hit that rating button and give it a 5-star. If you give it any less than 5 stars, we will create some sort of AI system that will
Destroy
find
your
you
life.
and fucking wipe your phone of all of its photos.
We will, yeah.
That's a
Oh.
true crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say about that.
I'm tall. I am tall. I am tall.
The only thing that I have to say to you is that if you want to be a guest on the show, go to sickboypodcast.com and click Brian's favorite button. It's very obvious in the top right corner. You'd know if I didn't tell you where it was. And fill out the form and become a guest if you'd like.
And if you are part of a health association or organization that has a complex idea that you want to share with your audience, and you want to make a podcast to tell that story, you can. This is a little like thing that we've been working on, but you can reach out to us.
You can reach out to us because we do that.
We do that. Send us an email. Same place you send it to that Taylor said.
I didn't say an email, but it's in. But so that it's info@sickboypodcast.com.
That's a good place to send it. And a huge thank you to Rich O'Coin for the theme music and Jeff Lonis, our manager. We love you so much, so much.
That is it for this week.
I'm Brian.
I'm Taylor.
And I'm Jeremy, and this is Sick Boy.